Yo, what up, world? 502 King Paul coming to y'all with another video, man. So in this video here, y'all see the title of it. There's no script, there's no notes. I'm just coming strictly from my mind, my heart, and my real life experiences, things that I've been through. And I guarantee you that it will impact your life in a positive way. This will benefit your life in a positive way. So just stick with me on this here. So growing up, I was not taught to value things like money, cars, jewelry, clothes, how big your house was, none of this stuff. I was not taught that. I was raised in two separate households, but I had both of my parents in my life. Now, on one hand, I had my mother, who, God bless her soul till this day, she always taught me to value what other people thought about me. Always taught me that people are constantly judging you. And really, I don't think that this was something that she planned to do, but it placed a lot of insecurities in me as a young man. Now, on the other hand, I had my father, who constantly taught me to love myself, constantly told me that I was enough in each and every situation, that my value was not based on how much money I had. My value was not based on what kind of clothes or shoes I had. My value was not based on any external things, but my value was within me. Until this day, my father still does not care what anyone thinks about him. He does not care. That's just how he's wired. Now, a little bit of background information on that. My father is from housing projects here in Louisville, Kentucky. They've since been knocked down, but it's in the Park Duval area of Louisville, Kentucky, in the West End, Cotter Homes. Now, when he was raised up, he was brought up in a 3-bedroom apartment in the projects, low income, of course, and he had altogether, it was 10 brothers and sisters. So it was 5 brothers in one room, one bed, sleeping head to toe. 5 girls in another room, head to toe. One bed. And then my grandparents had their own room. So growing up in that situation, needless to say, he didn't have a whole lot. He did not have a bunch of, all the glitz and glam and all that at that point in his life as a child. Now, once he got older and he worked and he was able to get, different things and acquire different things, and that's cool. But having that foundation, he never was able to place his self-value in all these external things because he didn't have them. So he had to find the value within himself. So him being raised like that, him being hardwired like that from a youth, he put that same ideology into me. He put that same spirit into me that you are enough. He would always tell me, you're Paul Florence. You are Paul Florence. You're Paul Florence. It doesn't matter what they call you. This is who you are. And he showed me through examples. He didn't care about what kind of car he drove, what kind of clothes he wore. And I'm not saying that my dad was a bum dude by any means, but what I'm saying is he didn't place his value in those things. So growing up, I had a very high self-confidence. I was always just happy with who I was as a person. And I'm not saying that I didn't have nice things when I was younger, because my dad and my mom, they both made sure that I still had a lot of things that they did not have in their childhood. So I say this to say, I had this self-confidence, this high self-confidence since I was very young. Well, for the first time in my life, when I went to 9th grade, when I entered Central High School here in Louisville, Kentucky, very historically important school here in Louisville, Kentucky. Same school that Muhammad Ali went to. Same school that we have NFL players that came out of that school. We've had NBA players that came out of that school. We've had a lot of just very important figures in Louisville, Kentucky have came from Central High School. Now, Central High School is a predominantly black school, inner city, right in the heart of downtown, right on the edge of the West End. And we had a lot of people that were from the ghetto that went to that school. Now, you have people from all over the city go to that school because of the historic meaning here in the city. However, you still had a lot of people that were from the hood that also went to this school as well. Where am I going with this? In the 9th grade, I went to class. I remember this was the first week of school, man. And you know that first week when you first go to school, you know, you got your clothes all laid out. You got your shoes laid out. You know, you look forward to getting to school and just, you know, starting off this new thing, especially as a freshman in high school. You know, that's your first year in the big league, so to speak, right? So I went to school. I had on my clothes, brand new shoes. And I remember going into this class, and this girl that was in my class, man, she took one look at the clothes that I had on, took one look at the shoes that I had on, busted out laughing. And here I am, I'm thinking I'm fly. I'm thinking, you know, I got on, these are new clothes. These are new shoes. You know, this is, you know, I'm fresh. But, you know, it wasn't the right brand for her. She didn't like the brand of clothing that I had on. She didn't like the brand of shoes that I had on. And she talked so bad about me, y'all, and I was so embarrassed. For the first time in my life, I experienced low self-esteem. I felt like I wasn't as good as these other children because, you know, even though they're from the hood, they're coming in with the latest name brand on, the brand new Jordans. You know, they got just, you know, it's a different league here. And that was a time in my life where I realized that no matter who you are as a person, some people will only see the exterior and judge you based upon that. And I bought into it. I really did. I bought into it. You know, I went home and I told my dad, told my mom, look, I need these clothes. I need these shoes. That was the first time in my life I started going and getting Jordan shoes because those were the hot shoes at the time. It's not like now where you can barely get the Jordans. You know, you could just go to the store on Saturday morning and you could buy you a pair of Jordan tennis shoes. So from that day forward, man, from that day forward in my life, I had to have all the newest gear. Whatever the latest name brand fashion was, I had to have the newest fashion. I had to have the newest shoes. When I started working, I would literally take all of my checks from my job. I started off working, my first job was Six Flags Kentucky Kingdom. Six Flags is all over, I think it's all over the world. I know it's all over the country, but Six Flags is an amusement park. I got my first job there. I would take my checks from there. And then I started working at this fast food restaurant. I'm taking my checks from there. Then I'm hustling in the streets and I'm doing all this stuff and put my life at risk so I can go out and buy these clothes. Not that my parents couldn't afford the clothes. They could afford some clothes, but I wanted more. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be the flyest. I wanted to be loved by my peers. I wanted them to look at me and have respect for me. Now, before I get too far into this, I'm going to say that I realized once I went to that inner city school, once I went to that school that, you know, was a lot of people from the hood that really didn't, you know, they really didn't have much, but they were dressed well. You know, they were dressed well. They were fly. Anybody can tell you Central High School was like the fashion show, like the fashion high school of Louisville, Kentucky. It was a school where all the fly girls went to, all the fly guys went to. And I felt like I had to live up to that. But it was my first glimpse of people really placing an emphasis on the things that you have and not who you are. And I bought right into it. It got to the point where I was buying so much jewelry, having all the newest clothes, having all the newest shoes, and people would ask me, man, are you rich? Multiple times I would have people come up to me inside of class in school and outside of school and, are you rich? Because you have all this jewelry, you have all these clothes, you have all the newest shoes, you have all this and that. And once you go down that route, it's like a slippery slope because then people start to envy you. It's like when you're at the bottom, they can joke on you and pick on you for what you don't have or what they perceive you not to have. But when you start moving yourself up, then they start to envy you. The worst thing that happened out of all of this was people started to value me for not who I was as a person, but for the things that I had. I had this big old chain, came way down here, big nameplate when I was younger. Said Lil Paul on it. I'm a junior. It said Lil Paul. And I remember that every time that I would get a girlfriend in high school, first thing they wanted to do was wear my chain. First thing they wanted to do was put on that chain so they can walk around school and have that jewelry on them. And to say, I'm Paul's girl. Not for necessarily who I was as a person, but because how other people perceived me based on the things that I had. Man, the crazy thing about this is when you start to place emphasis on all these external things in your life, the cars you drive, the clothes you have, the trips you take, the food you buy, deep down, your self-confidence goes from here to here to here to here to here. If you don't have these things, your self-confidence is shot. Because now you're hanging your hat on the things that you have outside of you in the world instead of who you are on the inside. See, the thing is that when you elevate yourself as a person, when you elevate yourself as a woman or man, and when you get to that level internally, all of that stuff is attracted to you anyway. But see, I never knew this. I never got that. Now, when you talk about low-hanging fruit is those easy things that you can get. It's easy for you to go out, buy some shoes, buy you some clothes, buy you some different stuff, buy you a car, and think that makes you an important person in this world. But it doesn't make you an important person in this world. It really doesn't. Because you're still going to be, if you have internal issues in your life, if you still have traumas from your childhood that you're dealing with, if you still have insecurities, if you were abused, molested, there's no amount of clothes and jewelry and cars that can fix that. You cannot have enough money to erase the trauma in your life. If you think that you can, look at the millionaires, look at the celebrities that had more wealth than any of us may ever see. And they ended their life. They committed suicide. They lived their life in depression. They lived their life in addiction because they're constantly trying to outrun those demons, constantly trying to outrun that trauma, constantly trying to get past all these things, these insecurities that they have in their life. Look at Michael Jackson, biggest star in the world, biggest star in the world. And this man disfigured his face so much. And I love Michael Jackson. When I was a kid, I had Michael Jackson's CD, the Jackson 5 CD, when I was in middle school. Like, I love Michael Jackson's music. But how he viewed himself, it didn't matter how many animals he had, how many cars he had, how much money he had, how many things he bought. He still was a very insecure person on the inside. And it was based on how he was brought up as a child. See, he was trying to fix childhood things, trying to go back and relive his childhood as an adult because of all the traumas and different things that he never got to experience when he was younger because he never got to live out his childhood. Muhammad Ali, greatest boxer, greatest man known in our time, around the world. There's an interview where he is talking to this man, I believe it's somewhere overseas, maybe in England or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. But he's talking to this man. And the man tries to call him out because he says, you know, you talk about how you're against materialism, but you have a Rolls Royce. Muhammad Ali corrects him. He said, no, I have 2 Rolls Royces. I have 2 of them. And the man says, oh, well, excuse me, you have 2 of them. But he goes on to say why he has these Rolls Royces. And it's because when he goes to different areas, when he goes to the ghettos and goes to these different places, man, and he pulls up in that Rolls Royce, people want to hear what it is that he has to say. And he can use his words. He can use who he is, what he knows, his knowledge, his spirit, to lead these people to God. Now, in his case, he's Muslim, so he believes in that. But what I've noticed, man, especially in today's world with social media and all this stuff, man, people typically don't want to hear from you if they don't think that you have something. If they don't think that you are doing better than them, if they don't think that you got a ton of money, if they don't think, especially with, people looking at these rappers' lifestyles, these celebrities' lifestyles, which a lot of their stuff is a facade anyways. If you knew the real, a lot of their cars are leased. A lot of their jewelry's fake. A lot of the things that they surround themselves with is just a big facade. But people get so caught up in, you have to have something. You have to have, A, B, C, and D. You got to have the nice car, the nice house, the nice this, the nice that. You got to have money. You got to have women. You got to have all the men. You got to have whatever. And they don't want to hear from you if you don't have that. And how do I know this? Because there, in every single ghetto in America, there is an alcoholic outside a store that can drop so much game on you. So much game on you. He can tell you so many things about life. He can give you so many jewels about life, but nobody wants to listen to that man because he has nothing. So we gravitate to those with the low-hanging fruit. We gravitate to those who look like they have something. Now, I'll be honest, man. I'm be completely honest in this video. A lot of things that I do, I outgrew that phase of I have to have all the glitz and glam and the best clothes and the this and that when I was in high school. When I take it back, when I came out of high school, going into college, I outgrew all of this. Because I was in a relationship with a woman and she told me, and I'll never forget this, she told me, you look like you have all this stuff, but really you're this person. Basically letting me know that, yeah, you got on the costume, but you're not that. And that struck a nerve with me, like that pierced me to my soul when she told me this. Pierced me to my soul when she told me this. Because now I'm like, man, I put so much emphasis into having all these things, trying to please all these people, make these people think all these things, worried about other people's opinion when I stopped working on me. I stopped working on myself, who I was as a person. See, I got all this stuff, but I became a jerk. Yeah, the way I talked to people changed. The way I interacted with people changed. I wasn't as good as a person. I'm not going to say I was a horrible person, but I got cocky. There's a difference between confidence and cockiness. And I got to the point where I was cocky. And I never want to allow myself to get back to that place. But I'm going to be honest. Again, I'm just being completely transparent. I still continue. Once I grew past that point in my life, I still continue. You can go back. You can look at my Instagram pictures. I got pictures I can put up where, even as a man in my 20s, I still bought all the latest, the newest gear. I still bought jewelry. I still had to have a nice car. Still had to have the best shoes. Still had to have this and that, all the external stuff. But I started doing it for a different reason as I got older. Because I realized the world that we live in today, people are only attracted to you based on what they perceive you to have. So I started to wear this stuff. And when people would ask me, how did you get this? Because of the things I went through in my life, it was an opportunity for me to tell them about God. It was an opportunity for me to tell them, look, you see me with all this stuff, but I went through this, and this. I've been homeless. I've been dead broke more times than I can count in my life. There's times I could have died in my life. Literally, there was one time I did die in my life. In the hospital, woke up surrounded by family. I could have been gone years ago, a long time ago. In my early 20s, I could have been gone. Whew. Never would have heard from a 502 King Paul. Never would have heard any of this stuff. Could have been gone, man. But I used that opportunity, people seeing what I had, to tell them I'm only here because of God. I'm only here because of God. Because God wants me to be here, because I still got more work to do. He knows I fall short. We all fall short. But I got here because of God. And I don't ever want people to get it confused, man. I posted a picture the other day on my Facebook. I still got a Facebook. I'm a little bit older, so I hold on to my Facebook. But I posted a picture the other day. I got on my clothes, whatever, and I had on a polo shirt. And my cousin, one of my cousins, younger cousins, he posts on there. He's like, man, you look like you robbed the polo store. Every time I see you, you got on polo. It look like you robbed the store. I didn't rob the store. But you know what? I recognize what it is, man. I don't care what I wear, to be honest. You can look back on a lot of my videos I posted on this channel. I got on a white t-shirt. Some videos I dress up just because that's what I like to do. I like to look good. I understand the importance of looking good, but I don't personally care. I wouldn't care if it was polo, if it was no bow. I wouldn't care what it was. I don't care. But I realize that I can attract certain people to me to want to hear how it is I got where I'm at, wearing certain things. I understand, but all this is low-hanging fruit. It's low-hanging fruit to get to reel people in so they can hopefully, prayerfully, they can look at the tree that the fruit is hanging off of. Yeah, you can see the chain. You can see the watch, the ear, whatever. You can see the jewelry. But pay attention to the man. Pay attention to what it is that I'm trying to put out here into the world. Now, why is this so important? Let me wrap this up. Why is this so important? This is so important because me and you, out here in the world, man, we have to learn to love ourselves for who we are, not for what we have, but for who we are as a person. Who you are as a man, who you are as a woman. Love yourself, because a lot of people are not loving themselves, and in turn, they're not loving other people. Go to the Bible. Love God with all your heart. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. How can you love your neighbor as you love yourself when you don't truly love yourself? See, a lot of people are struggling with depression. A lot of people have all these different things that they're dealing with in their life because they don't love themselves. They don't love who they are. They can't look in the mirror and be happy. Chain, no chain, designer, no designer, money, no money. They can't love who they are as a person. So they can't love other people out here in the world. And one thing that I know that we need more than anything else in this world right now, we need to learn to love each other. All this stuff that's going on in the world doesn't happen if we love each other, if we value each other. Elementary school got shot up the other day, man. I have 2 small children. So it really hit me differently. Elementary school gets shot up the other day. We have an 18-year-old man goes inside of a school, kills 14 innocent children, kills a teacher, and then gets killed by the police. But those parents of those 14 children will never have their children again. Think about that. Even if you're a parent, not a parent, whatever, 14 children killed. That kind of stuff does not happen when we love each other the way that we should love each other. When that man carries love in his heart, there's no way that he can go into a school and do something like that. And I almost guarantee you at that young of an age, 18, I believe in, in spirits and all this different stuff, but I guarantee you, not making an excuse for that sorry son of a at all, but I guarantee you that his problem started way before that day. That doesn't happen if he's shown the love the years before that. See, we got to start loving our children, man, because I listen to all the different, I watch. I'm not out of touch at all. I'm not that older guy that's out of touch with what's going on in the world. I know all the newest songs. I know all the Lil Durks. I know all the NBA young boys. I know the kids that listen to it. Yeah, I know the little 8-year-olds that's bopping and knows the whole song. And this is a generation that's coming up behind us. These little kids ain't gonna stay little kids forever. So when you see them dancing around, throwing up the gang signs as a small child, listening to musicians that's going through depression and schizophrenia and all kind of, because I recognize it for what it is. NBA Youngboy, he got some demons in his life. And it's not just spiritual things. This is mental health issues. This man's dealing with depression. Deep depression. It's a dark energy on that man. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I know the songs. I know the songs. I've listened to it. I know it. But now we have kids that's growing up listening to that. Some of these kids don't have a father. They don't have someone telling them self-love, self-love, self-love. Love yourself. Love other people. So they turn to the celebrities. They turn to the people that have all these mental illnesses, and they don't recognize it for what it is. And now they think that this is how you treat people. That's why these kids don't fight anymore. It got to a point, I'll be honest, man, a lot of my stuff, it didn't just come like when I physically let myself slide off earlier on in life. It wasn't just because of my drug use. It was also because I was toting a gun with me all the time. And I started to see how the world was changing, to where these kids don't even fight anymore. You can't even fight, because a fight is going to lead to shooting. So why fight? We can just skip right to the shooting. This is the world, the mentality that these kids are living in, man. It's because we are not preaching self-love enough. So forget all the material things. Forget all the material things that, you know, we have inside of our life. You don't need it. You don't need it. Forget all that, man. Forget it. You don't need it. You do not need it. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with looking good, with feeling good. There's nothing wrong with it, man. There's nothing wrong with it. But you do not need it. You do not need it. Because regardless, if you got it, if you don't got it, what you see other people having and what you don't have, I'm still the same man. You're still the same person. Love yourself for who you are, not for what you have, man. I really hope that this message bless y'all. I really hope there's someone that watched this video that needed to hear it, and that y'all pass this message on to those that need it in their life, man. We all need to love ourselves. We all need to love ourselves. Love yourself for who you are so you can love other people the right way, and we can change this world, man. 502 King Paul, man. I love y'all. Truly do. I truly do, man. I don't do this for me. I do it for y'all. I do it for the world. I do it because the message and stuff, messages I put out to this world, it's not just going to impact the way I live and the world I live in, but the world my children lives in and the world that everyone lives in, man. We need love. Now, I pray y'all have a blessed day. If you like anything about the video, drop a like down below. Help get it out to as many people as possible. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I'm out.